everyone, welcome to a tea time with Chloe. I've got my Mrs. Emma Bridgewater mug today. This is actually the first time I've used it at home, but I thought I would whip it out because it's my first tea time with Chloe as a Mrs. Very exciting. I hope it's not too dark. It's a beautiful sunny day outside today, but the sun is in an awkward place and it is not coming into my living room, but we will do the best we can. I haven't done a tea time with Chloe in a little while because I was super poorly, and then we were preparing for the wedding when we decided that we were going to go ahead with that. So I thought it might be nice to do a little Q&A, and lots of you had questions. So I wrote down everyone's questions that I was going to answer because I screenshot them all on my phone and then realised that I'm filming on my phone. So my old phone that I often use for my screenshots is dead. So I just wrote them down, and I tried to write down everyone's names and usernames, but if I miss yours, I'm sorry. So I thought I would just jump straight into it because I've already rambled for nearly 2 minutes about nothing. So Jen asked, do you have any upcoming holiday plans maybe for next year? We don't actually. We went to my parents' caravan in Hayling Island as a little mini moon after the wedding for a few days, and we are hoping to go to Weymouth for a couple of days at the end of this month for my birthday. But yeah, we don't have any plans to go abroad this year at all. I would love to try and do a Halloween trip to Disneyland Paris, but I just don't think it's going to be safe enough. I don't feel that I will feel safe enough unless the situation drastically changes. And as for next year, we just don't feel able to book anything at the moment. We would really like to go on our honeymoon, which I'll discuss later because that comes up in a couple of questions. But we haven't booked anything. We have no concrete plans because at the moment it all just seems very up in the air. And with myself being immune compromised, I just don't know whether it's the safest idea to book anything when we don't know what the situation is yet. She also asks, how are the pets and do you still have the bunnies? The pets are all absolutely fine. If you've been following my Instagram and everything throughout lockdown, then you might know that Winnie suddenly took a bit of a funny turn during lockdown. I think it was back in May, and we had to go to the vets as an emergency because I was worried that she was developing back problems. She was really in pain and couldn't walk properly, and it was so scary. But it turns out that she has arthritis. So she's on a joint supplement now every day, and she takes painkillers every day, and she's 100% back to her normal self as if nothing ever happened. I'm slowly weaning the painkillers down a little bit at the moment so that we can see if the joint supplement is having any sort of effect, because obviously I don't want to keep her on painkillers every day if she doesn't need them. So we're in the process of very slowly weaning that dose down at the moment, but she is great. Archie is absolutely great, and yes, I do still have the bunnies. I've still got 4 rabbits. AJ, is it difficult to differentiate Crohn's symptoms from the side effects of your medication sometimes? If your question sounds a bit different, it's because I've paraphrased them as I've written them down. So AJ's question was a bit more detailed, but that was the general gist of it. Sometimes it can be difficult to differentiate my actual chronic illness symptoms from possible side effects, and sometimes it's really obvious. So a lot of the time medications used to treat Crohn's can cause vomiting and diarrhea, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to know if I have that as a side effect because I'm already experiencing that anyway. So things like that, yeah, I would have no idea really if it was the Crohn's or the medication causing that. And then other things are really obvious. So the medication that I'm on now, one of the symptoms is a sensation of constantly having an itch. So I feel itchy all the time, and it's infuriating. Like right now I have an itch above my eyebrow and at the bottom of my back, but there's no reason for me to feel itchy. It's just the medication, and it's really annoying. So far I think that's the only side effect I've noticed. Molly, what is your favourite thing so far about marriage? My favourite thing so far is the fact that we have both just been on such a high the last 2 weeks. So tomorrow it'll be 2 weeks since the wedding, and I think part of it is the fact that I'm feeling so much better now as well, and Will is really pleased that I'm feeling better, and he's got Chloe back to an extent, because when I'm poorly I'm just so miserable. So I think obviously he's happy about that, but it just feels like we've been so like connected and affectionate and just really, really happy the last 2 weeks, and I do attribute that to the wedding. I do feel like we've got that wedding high that people always talk about. The post-wedding blues haven't hit yet because obviously we still have our big day to plan in April, but I imagine after that we'll experience those wedding blues that people talk about. But yeah, my favourite thing so far has just been like how happy we are at the moment. Becca, do you have any honeymoon plans after your big day next year? We do have a honeymoon that we really want to go on, which I've spoken about before, I think in a previous Q&A. We really want to fly into California and spend a couple of days in California and visit the original Disneyland. Obviously that's mainly for me rather than Will's, but that's what we would like to do, and then go from California onto Honolulu in Hawaii. There's a list of things that Will's wants to do in Honolulu, and I really want to visit Aulani. We can't afford to stay at Aulani, but I would like to go there for the day and like book into the restaurant and go and visit the shops and have a look around their facilities and stuff. And like I said, Will's got a big long list of things he wants to do, so we've sort of made this plan of the honeymoon that we want to have, but it's quite pricey and we don't currently have the money to book it, and like I said previously, we just don't know if it's a good idea to book anything now anyway, because we could technically book a package holiday on a credit card and just pay a deposit and see what the situation is close to the time, but we don't really know if that's a good idea. So yes, we do have a honeymoon plan, but we don't know whether we're going to be able to go on it or not. Lauren, who is your favourite or least favourite Animal Crossing villager? You know, I actually played Animal Crossing today for the first time in a month. I was playing it constantly throughout lockdown, and then I just got so poorly with the arthritis in my hands and stuff that I couldn't play it, and I just got out the habit of doing it. It's funny how like you pick up and drop habits like that. My favourite villager is Derwin, who is a duck, and nobody ever talks about him, but he is the cutest villager ever. And I don't really want to say like my least favourite because I haven't had that many villagers, but the least favourite one that I've had was Hans, who is, I think he's a gorilla, but his character was like, he was based around like a yeti, like he was meant to be sort of like a yeti type character, and I just found him so annoying, but he had the smug personality, and I just don't like that personality. How do you feel about returning to work? So for those who don't know, I'm a teaching assistant and I work on a one-to-one basis with children who have additional needs. So it's a very up close and personal kind of job. And even if I hadn't been really poorly with my Crohn's over the course of lockdown and stuff, I still wouldn't have been allowed to work because I was told I had to shield even before I got poorly, because it is a job where you are sort of up close and personal. And my work have been very good and very accommodating, so I have spoken to them. I spoke to them at the end of July when it was like the end of term for them, and we were formulating sort of some kind of plan for me to return to work, but they essentially said if I don't want to or I don't feel ready to, I don't have to go back, but obviously that then impacts pay and things like that. So my plan at the moment is to go back, and at first I was quite like at peace with that decision because I had a long time between making that decision and going back to work, but it's now less than 2 weeks until I'm expected back, and honestly I'm terrified, like just being totally upfront with you guys, I'm terrified. And I know that there are a lot of people who watch my videos who also work in a school, and because you've probably been at work this whole time you might think that I'm being ridiculous, but I am immunocompromised and that's terrifying to me. I'm not even 26 yet, do you know what I mean? My life is not over. I have so much life to live, and I have struggled with my health so much, and I am not going out via a virus like that. So I am seriously scared about returning to work the closer it gets, but I don't want to just pull the plug on it without even trying it. So my plan is to go back as normal and just see how it goes for a week or two, and if I'm really uncomfortable or if there is a single case in the school, I'm gonna have to be out of there, because it's just not, as much as I love my job, no job is worth your life. It's just not. And I know that sounds really dramatic to a lot of people, but for me it really could be life or death. So Basically, long story short, I'm feeling really scared about going back to work, but I'm just going to see how it goes. And Lauren also says that she would like to hear about the process of changing your name after marriage, because she assumed that you would change it on some like central registry and that everything else would follow. So that's not what happens at all when you get married. And I only found this out about a year ago when I first started planning the wedding, but basically you sign the wedding register in your maiden name. You don't have to say what new name you're going by at all. You sign it in your maiden name. So at that point, your name is not changed. It's not, obviously your wedding contract is like legally binding, but there is no name change at that point. You haven't signed the register in your new name. It's not legally binding. Like, there's nothing like that. So basically what happens is you can then continue to just use your maiden name, or you can just decide to start going by your partner's surname or like a combined version of both your names or whatever. And you basically just have to go around yourself changing your name in all of these places. And most of them will want to see your marriage certificate to prove that you actually did get married. And then they ask you what name you're going by, because obviously some couples decide to like merge their surnames together, so you might not necessarily be going by the names that are on the marriage certificate. It's different for a man, so if a man changes his name after marriage, he does actually have to change it by deed poll, I think, but a woman doesn't at all. You basically just decide what name you're going to go by and you just start using it, and you go around, like I said, changing it everywhere. Basically you can change it anywhere in whatever order you like, but it is a good idea to try and get the most important ones done first. So if you drive, changing it on your driving license, your vehicle logbook, all of those sort of things, those would be the first places that you would normally change it. However, you need marriage certificates, copies of your marriage certificate to do that, because you don't want to send off your original one. Normally you can order copies of that on the day, but we weren't allowed to do that because they were literally like getting people in and out like that. So I had to call up the following week and order new copies of the marriage certificate, and they only just arrived yesterday. So I basically went round and started changing my name everywhere else. I've pretty much done it everywhere now that is important, other than my driving license, vehicle logbook, PayPal, and my passport. And I'm not in a rush to do my passport because, like I said, we're not going anywhere. And because like changing your name by marriage is not like on any sort of like, it's not like legally binding or whatever. You basically just pick your name and start using it. I could book a holiday in my maiden name, and as long as my maiden name is what is on the passport, it will be fine. The only reason we would have issues would be if we put my new surname on the holiday booking and it didn't match what was on my passport. So I hope that makes sense. Basically, you don't change it on a central registry that then sort of changes everything. You just pick a name and start using it and start changing it everywhere yourself, or you don't change your name at all and everything just carries on as normal, but you're married. I felt like that was a real ramble, so I'm sorry if that doesn't make sense to anyone, but I'm a bit out of practice with filming at the moment. Lucy, where do you get your planners from? Honestly, I don't really buy planners anymore because I have still a ridiculous amount of planners, even though I got rid of loads of them. But if I do buy a planner, it's normally from Filofax themselves, or Kiki K is where I've got a lot of planners from, but I don't think their UK website is currently up and running. Okay, so now we're moving on to Instagram questions. Crohn's with me, sorry I don't know your first name, I should have checked, said, how does being married feel? And at the moment it feels lovely. It was so funny because on the day so many people were saying to me like, how does it feel to be married? Like, how does it feel? And Will and I were both looking at each other like it doesn't feel like anything. But like I said, the last couple of weeks we've just been in such a happy bubble that yeah, that post-wedding high is definitely real, and it feels lovely to be married, and I'm so glad that we managed to do it despite everything that's going on. The Spare Time Scrapbooker, where are your new scrapbook albums from? They're so hard to get hold of at the moment. Yes, scrapbooks really are hard to get hold of at the moment. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you won't know what she's talking about, but for my birthday, Will asked me what I wanted, and I couldn't think of anything other than new scrapbooks, because they are so expensive in the UK and they're so difficult to get hold of. So he bought me 3 new 12 by 12 We Are Memory Keepers faux leather scrapbook albums, and he bought them from a website called The Mad Scrapper. Basically, I asked for recommendations in one of the scrapbooking groups on Facebook, and the lady who owns that shop popped her link in the comments, and she had lots of different colours that I hadn't been able to get anywhere else. So I bought 3 colours that I haven't had before, or I picked 3 colours that I haven't had before, and she had lots of others in stock, and she said that she's got more coming in the next 10 days or so. So no, this is not sponsored or affiliated or anything. I just was really happy to find some scrapbooks in the UK, and she posted them on Monday and they came on Tuesday, so it was good. Anna, my lovely Anna over at Mrs. Brimble's, what was your favourite little detail about your wedding? I think my favourite thing was that on the morning of the wedding, my mum gave me a lucky sixpence. So it's like tradition for the bride to have like a lucky silver sixpence in her shoe. And my wedding shoes that I have for my big day next year, they actually have a sixpence in them, but I didn't have one for this year. And unbeknownst to me, my mum had bought me one. So before I left, she gave me this lucky sixpence and I popped it in my bag. So I had it with me at the wedding. So I think that was one of my favourite little details. But more than that, it was just like, basically it was everything my mum did. Our plan was literally just to go to this registry office, get married, go back to my parents' house, sit in the garden and just eat some snacky food. Like, that was what we had planned to do, and we were totally happy with that. But my parents just went all out, like making it, I'm gonna get emotional because honestly, my parents are just amazing, and they really desperately wanted it to be a special day for us, because we don't know if our big day is even going to go ahead next April. None of us know what's going to happen tomorrow at this point, let alone next April. We don't know if it's going to go ahead. Like, we may never get that big day that we planned. And even though it was a tiny ceremony that took like 5 minutes, the 7th of August was the day that we got married. That's the day that we're going to celebrate our wedding anniversary. And, you know, it was our wedding day, and my parents just wanted to make that special for us. So my mum in particular went mad with buying stuff. And my dad, like, redecorated their kitchen and their utility room and did the garden up. And, like, they were out at 11 o'clock the night before the wedding putting up a marquee. And my mum bought so many decorations, and she got like a Marks and Spencer's buffet, and it was just amazing. And they just put in so much effort, and that for me was like one of the best things about the day, because I wasn't expecting it at all, and it was just such a special day. Also, I'm really sorry if you can hear Winnie snoring in the background. She's really snoring. Amy asked a bunch of questions. What do you film and edit on? So I film and edit on my phone. I literally just film on my phone, and then I use iMovie on my phone to edit my videos, which is why the quality isn't always great, but it makes it a lot easier for me. How much Disney stuff do you own? I just don't know why you're trying to expose me like this, Amy. Because we all know that I own an obscene amount of Disney stuff. I mean, it could definitely be worse. It's not as bad as some like Disney fanatics, and I don't even think it's bad. Like, we all love different things. Like, most people would look at my dresser and think that's ridiculous, but I think it's amazing. But you know, I do have a lot of Disney stuff. I couldn't really put a number on it, and I haven't counted, but I have a lot of Disney mugs. I have a lot of Spirit jerseys. I buy merch when I go to the Disney parks. I have a lot of pins. I have a lot of Disney stuff. Next question, she says, do you like horror movies? No, I absolutely hate horror movies. I cannot watch them. I get horrendous nightmares. I'm the sort of person who switches the light off at night and then runs to my bed even though I'm nearly 26. Anything that shows like anything really gory or really, really scary, I just can't cope with. However, having said that, I absolutely love true crime. So documentaries, I can watch them all day till the cows come home, talking about actual real crime, but I can't watch like really realistic reenactions. Is reenactions even a word? Reenactments. Oh my god, my brain just like exploded then. I can't watch really obvious and really real reenactments of like violent crimes and things like that, which is essentially what horror films are. And I hate anything suspenseful. So when I'm reading a book, I love a bit of suspense, but when it's like on the screen in front of me, I just can't do it. I hate anything that makes me jump, and I'll try and go to bed that night and I'll see like the scenes from the horror film in my head. So no, I hate horror films. I can't watch them. And her last question is, do you feel different as a wife, and are you looking forward to having children? I don't really feel different as a wife. No, it still feels really weird to refer to myself as somebody's wife. I've gotten really used to calling Will my husband because I've had to call up so many people and be like, my husband and I got married, I need to change my name, like sort of thing. So I've gotten quite used to that, but I still feel very weird about the word wife. I don't know why. It just feels like something that belongs to more mature ladies. I still feel very young, and none of my friends are married. Although one of my friends is now getting married next year, so I won't be the only one for long. But yeah, like none of my friends are married, and it's, I don't know, it just still seems a bit weird. So I don't really feel different, but there is definitely a novelty to it that hasn't worn off yet. And yes, we are so looking forward to having children. In the last year or so, Will is definitely on the same page as me regarding children at the same time as me, which hasn't really happened before. A couple of years ago, we sort of came to the conclusion that we definitely wanted kids, but we just didn't really know when. And then as soon as we got married, it was kind of like, let's just have them now, but we can't. We still have our big day next April, and I don't really want to be like heavily pregnant at that. We still want to be able to go on a honeymoon next summer if the situation allows us. And also my work situation makes it very difficult. So I don't know when we will start trying for a family, but both of us are very keen to have a baby at the moment. And if we had our way, we would already be trying, basically, which is just so exciting. But my medication, my health, my work situation, it all does make things quite difficult. We could definitely manage on just Will's salary, but that doesn't seem very fair. He's perfectly happy to do that because we want to start a family, and like I say, we would manage on his salary. So he has said like he's happy to do that, but I just would like to have a bit more job security and be earning my own money as well, to be able to pay for things, because I just feel like it's fair. So I don't really know what we'll do yet, but we are so looking forward to it. We just can't wait, and I really hope that we are blessed with a baby and that we don't struggle, because I'm not sure how I would deal with that. Sorry, I didn't make a note of this person's username, but they have asked if we will see a Disney scrapbook flip through. Yes, you absolutely will, as soon as I have done my Disney scrapbook. At the moment, it's literally just a scrapbook filled with photos. There's no papers, no embellishments, no nothing. Once that scrapbook is full, you will absolutely see a flip through. I nearly always do a flip through of my albums and my creative journals, so yes, when it's done you'll see it, but it probably won't be for quite a long time. She also asked, how many mugs do you have in general, and how many EB mugs specifically? So how many mugs do I have in total, and then how many Emma Bridgewater mugs do I have? I don't know about that, and I don't really want to leave this video to go and count them. I reckon I probably have, I mean, how many mugs are on that dresser? 37. So there's 37 Emma Bridgewater mugs in this room alone. I've got a bunch of them in the kitchen. There's also a few in a box underneath there because I've got all my Christmas ones. And that's not even counting any of my general mugs. I reckon I've probably got about 100 mugs in total. Specifically Emma Bridgewater ones, I reckon I've probably got about 60. I probably need some help. Again, I haven't made a note of this person's username. I'm sorry about that. The last two people I didn't do it. What English theme parks have you been to, and what rides did you like? I haven't been to many English theme parks because, considering how much I love Disney and like going on all the rides at Disney, I actually am not really like a theme park person. I think I only really got into rides like because of going to Disney, and I haven't been to an English theme park since starting to enjoy the Disney parks. But I've been to Thorpe Park and I've been to Alton Towers. The last time I went to Thorpe Park I was probably like 16, and when I went to Alton Towers I was about 9. So I honestly like couldn't even tell you what rides I like. Melissa, what are your next top or like slash bucket list item vacation destinations? For me, it is definitely California, Disneyland, and Hawaii, which is why we want to go for our honeymoon. Hawaii is on Will's bucket list as well. We just desperately want to go. We'll be so upset if we can't. So those are definitely my like bucket list items. I also really want to go to Lapland before I die. So when we have kids, maybe we'll take them at like Christmas time one year. I think that would be amazing. But like places that we want to go imminently, we really want to go to Hawaii. Skylar says, are there regional accents in England like there are in the US? Yes, there really, really are. And that's why we get so annoyed when people just say like British accent as if everyone sounds the same, because they really don't. What people think of as the stereotypical British accent is probably like the way I talk, but probably a bit posher, sort of like the Queen's English, you know. But there are so many regional accents in the US, in England, the same as there are in the US. You could travel half an hour down the road and the people would talk with a different twang on their accent. Like, it's crazy. The UK has so many different regional accents and nobody sounds the same. And the last question is from Krishna Priya. Are you planning on adopting a new dog? No, but I wish I could. I want another Dachshund so badly. Winnie is 11 this year, and even though we've like touch wood got on top of her health and she's like totally back to normal and everything, it has reminded me that she is old. Like, she is getting old, and I just can't imagine being without a Dachshund. And Archie is so young and full of beans and just wants to play all the time, and obviously Winnie doesn't. So I just think it'd be so nice for him to have like a younger playmate. And I was getting very close to, you know, seriously starting to look into getting another dog. I really want another Dachshund, but what I really want to do is just do what's best for Archie. So if I couldn't afford a Dachshund, puppy, or even an adult, because they are so expensive, I would look into getting other breeds that I thought would be compatible with our two. But now that we are thinking of having a baby, I feel like that will probably come first, because having 3 dogs and a baby would be quite tricky. I don't know, we'll see what happens, but I'll never say never, because I would love another dog. So those are all the questions that I got for this Q&A. I hope you enjoyed hearing my answers. If I missed your question, please do let me know. I'm pretty sure I got everyone's, but if I did miss your question, let me know. If you have any more questions that you want me to answer, leave them in the comments of this video and I will just type a reply back to you. I really hope you're all alright. I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.